My name is DeMarcus Robinson, and at UCLA, I'm a second-year PhD student in Atmospheric and Oceanic Science. I'm also a CDLS and UCHBCU fellow. My interest for the ocean and environment came from the school. So I was always kind of interested in science, but also did music and band as well. But really, what pushed my interest was taking an intro to oceanography class in high school. And that really piqued it. And I was like, oh, this is pretty interesting. I want to do this. And as a kid, I also used to watch National Geographic and stuff. So it was like, I could try to make this work. From that, I was like, all right, cool. I want to do this. This is interesting. And then at the same time, I lived in Atlanta, Georgia. And we used to live by this company. And then it was like every time we would leave home, like at 5 o'clock in the morning, like you couldn't breathe because they were just spewing out whatever films. I wasn't thinking about environmental justice or so much how it impacted the environment. I just knew that us smelling it and won't be able to breathe. Like, there's times where we had to be in the car just covering our mouth because it was just like, it was so bad. So at the time, I didn't think about environmental justice, environmental science. It was just like, this is a problem. And really, once I kind of majored in environmental science and really seeing like, this is like not normal, that's when I kind of like put the correlation to like, like what I'm studying and how this affects our human health and how this affects pretty much everyday life. We did coral reef research in Moorea, French Polynesia. And so my group looked at Terminaria ornata, which is a microalgae that inhibits the growth of coral. So being at an HBCU, what they kind of teach you indirectly is that majority of the spaces you'll go into is white. So they kind of teach you this whole thing where it's like, you kind of got to work twice as hard to get half of what they got in a sense. And so, you're working, you're doing this, that, and third. The professors and people that are like mentoring you, they're gonna introduce you to like these internships and things you can go talk to and things you can go see and whatnot. And so as you kind of go outside those four corners of your university, you kind of see what it is and how everything is working. And so I already knew that this field was like majority white. And it was kind of funny, I was at the internship at UCLA on Moorea, and the guy was like so happy to see me because it was, oh man, like you're black and you're here and like you're just a lot of people and blah, blah. He wanted me to come to his lab. So my first couple months here were really bad. In a sense, because it was just that, it was transitioning from a quarter system to semester system. Over time, I kind of figured out how things work, and I was like, all right, I gotta rearrange how I do things. CDLS found me. I went to the first meeting that was like in October, and they told me how they do things and whatnot, and I was like, all right, cool, I can just start writing. And this kind of made me, I guess, wanted to do a podcast. So kind of how that happened was my fraternity brother, he reached out, he was like, yeah, you have an interesting story, can we talk about it? And so I came up with a couple of ideas centered around education, science, and environmental justice. So we just did the last one with Cancer Alley, and I talked about that, and pretty much the point of that was to bring the issue to people that don't know, because even before that I had put on Instagram and Facebook, hey, go look up Cancer Alley if you don't know about it. And some people, they wrote back and said, oh my gosh, I didn't know this was happening. I've been to New Orleans like so many times and blah, blah, blah. I was like, yeah, this is happening. There's all stuff happening around your own community. My whole goal was to get a PhD and go back to HBCUs and do like marine science and bring students of color and bring them in and like, hey, you can do this stuff. I mean, I know you've seen it on like TV. We actually do this. My whole thing in life is like, if I can inspire at least one person, I'm good for that.